Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of Parkitect. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. Last episode, we built this entrance to the Victoria Lake Park, and we also built this little wall over here to kind of cover up this back supply depot area. But we have a ton of unused space. We have no rides whatsoever in the park. And we have about $8,500 left, which honestly is not going to be enough to do what I want, all the stuff that I want to do, but it'll be enough to get a good start. So, yeah, we got a lot to do today. Without further ado, let's just jump right into a time lapse. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is get some actual rides into the park. So I'm going to kind of move the pathway a little bit so we can fit a ride right in this little space right here. And I'm just going to go with one of the real basic high-intensity flat rides, just one of the little starter ones. I'm going to kind of bring the path around and just sort of wrap it. That way we have at least something in the park. But I was kind of looking at it and I wasn't really a fan of how it looked, so I thought maybe I'd try adding in a couple of trees or something like that around it to maybe add a little something. Set the price, kind of looked at it for a little bit. Wanted to grab some things to maybe consider changing it and detailing it a little bit. But I wasn't really a huge fan. So I tried, well, maybe we'll add some of our little, like pathway borders, I guess you would call them. These flat cornices. Putting some, I'm going to call this the Victorian fence, for lack of a better term, but it's kind of a metal fence. After I looked at it for a little bit, I just decided I wasn't really happy with it. So I decided to delete the whole thing and put it back in, but raised like half a space. So we're just going to bring it up a little bit, put it in the same spot, all that kind of good stuff, but just raise it up a little bit so there's a little bit of a height differential. And I think that made it considerably better. So I'm surrounding the bottom with that kind of stone fence. Still putting in the pathways and all this kind of stuff, although I did move the path just a tiny bit. And then we'll bring that path down. And then we have a ride that kind of separates itself from the path a little bit more and isn't completely flat. Because I'm not planning on putting a cover or a building really around this. I'm just going to kind of leave it open. Because this is a ride that's kind of hard to design a building around because it goes up and down pretty far. And I think it might even go off to the side a little bit when it's actually like running. You don't want it to clip into the building around it. But also, we've got this wall right here, and it would be kind of weird to build some sort of a structure around like right up against the wall that also doesn't get clipped into by the ride. So it was a little tricky. I decided to just kind of leave it open to the air and basically call it good. So then I tried to figure out a couple different things to do with this staircase. Tried maybe the fence. Ultimately, just settled on a brick wall, just a white one. So now I'm widening the pathways, so we'll have a consistent pathway of 2 wide. All the paths throughout the entire park will be 2 wide. Also decided to go with the darker wood for the bridges to match the little pier that we have over kind of near the entrance. And then just sort of flattening out the terrain to make sure that the path looks correct. So then we'll just go in and get rid of these fences because we're going to use the Victorian fences throughout the park instead of these wooden ones. And I want the paths to be, for the most part, as straight as they can be. I do want them to kind of curve and turn and go around here and go around there at some points, but not all the time. Just a little bit here and there. So for the most part, I want to kind of have longer, straight paths. Because it's a little bit easier to kind of design rides around, and I think it looks a little bit cleaner. And I want this to be a fairly clean park for the most part. So I'm putting in the Victorian fences, and I am going to end up building a structure around this one. So what I wanted to do was have kind of like a wooden support system at the bottom, and then build a structure on top of it, supported by these like wooden beams. There's a proper architectural term for it, but it escapes me. I forget what the proper term is, but basically it would be supports on the bottom, wooden, kind of open to the air, and then structures, a structure on top that's essentially supported. So I'm just kind of putting that in right now, putting in all the support beams and stuff like that. I went with kind of a darkish brown to represent the wood, and then we're basically just doing like this X shape in all the different spaces that aren't actually a gate, because obviously we don't want to block the ride off for obvious reasons. Kind of defeats the purpose of having the ride if it's blocked off. So put in those little X, these cross beams to support the structure that is ultimately going to go on top. So then for the structure that's going to go on top, I thought, well, let's think about a couple things here. So I thought maybe we could just put crenellations and put a roof right on top of it, but I decided that wasn't where I wanted to go. So I decided to use a brick half wall instead, and I wanted to go with kind of the darker one that we used on the towers over in the main entryway, just because I think it contrasts a little bit better with the building, and I didn't want it to look... I wanted it to look like this was kind of like an addition to the building rather than a part of it, if that makes any sense. So then I'm putting a couple of these little sloped bits along the sides. That's where the roof is going to go, and we're basically going to have a roof that is going to kind of connect and sort of just run across the whole top. You'll see what I mean in just a minute here. So now I'm grabbing the correct roof piece, and we're going to put that in, and then to get this sort of crossed effect at the corners, you just rotate it and put in another one in the same space, and it gives you that nice little effect. So setting the price for the ride, opening up, make sure I don't forget about it, doing it the same with the other one. And then what I wanted to do was put in some swan boats over here out on the lake. And I was trying to figure out how to make the station bigger, because I know there's a way to have a much larger space. And I fiddled around with this for way longer than I wanted to, and I just, for the life of me, could not figure out how to get this thing to work the way that I wanted it to work. I was like, okay, we're going to put it in. It's going to go here. What I really want is a station that's like either 3 or 5 wide, that the pier would run into, and then the area for the boats would basically just be out in the lake, and they could do, maybe we could build some sort of a structure out there for people to do stuff with. But I ultimately decided to just scrap it and figure it out later. Then I decided we need a coaster. Every park needs a coaster. That's kind of your main draw to bring people in. And this is kind of the only one. This wooden, I know I wanted a wooden coaster. There are other ones that are smaller. But I definitely wanted a wooden coaster because they tend to be pretty good, I think, as far as the money goes. And this was pretty much the only wooden coaster that actually fit in the park. So I decided to put this in over here and kind of wrap the queue line out around like so, and put it kind of in the back of the park, which is not necessarily optimal. It would probably be better to have this kind of near the food court instead, but it fit over here, and ultimately, way down the road, we are probably going to end up with like a secondary, maybe like a mini food court would be a way to say it. Not like a full-blown, 12 restaurants and all that kind of stuff, but just we'll probably end up with like a burger stand and a soft drink thing over here for people who ride these rides. But I wanted to make a station as well for this coaster. And I wanted to kind of keep that same style that we've been using throughout the park. So I'm grabbing different parts. We're going to basically have a double peaked roof on this thing. You can see me kind of outlining it with these crenellations and with these wall segments. And then we'll put in the borders with the light tan. I decided to put in some more windows. And then finally the roof itself. And as far as the bit out here, I did want to have some sort of an awning or covering over that little bit. So this whole thing would be protected from the rain. And I decided, yeah, this will work. We'll probably do some decorative work in the back there to give it kind of like a backsplash that's, fits within the theme, I guess you would say. But that'll be later. I'm also straightening this path here, and I wanted to put a second bridge in over like a little water feature right here. In order to do that, though, and have it line up the way that I wanted it to, I do end up kind of changing the terrain just a little bit so that this path will be straight. Yeah, there we go. just like that. But now we've got a second bridge in. I'm going in and removing a lot of this wooden fencing that was in the park by default. I'm going to swap that out for the Victorian fence, that kind of metal one. And then I'm going to just basically put a border around the entirety of the path throughout the whole park and give it a nice consistent look. I really like this effect. I'll probably use this effect in all of my parks. I also decided to raise the bridge up over here. I think that looks a lot better when you're coming up over water like this than having just a flat kind of pier that comes off. If it's actually a bridge. If it's a pier, keep it flat. But if it's a bridge, raise it up by like half a space so it's a little bit more consistent. But I'm going to go ahead and put in these cornices throughout the whole park, outline and border the pathway. Maybe not the most efficient use of our money, but I think it's a really good look. And as I said, I'll probably use this in all of my parks in some form. The color, the fence, all that kind of stuff might be a little bit different, but it just gives you a good way to kind of separate the path from the terrain. Because sometimes if you don't do this, when you put in the fences, it causes some kind of weird looking, I don't know if it's necessarily a graphical glitch, but it causes you to see a little spot of grass and it kind of messes with the path. But if you put those cornices there, it keeps that from happening. It doesn't create that annoying little separation when you plop down the fence. So I think that's well worth doing. Now I'm working on some restrooms because they need a place. I mean, you got to have them in the park. People are going to need to use the facilities. So what I want to do is basically just put a couple of towers over here. We're going to decorate them like towers and sort of keep them with that same theme. Put the pointed roof on them. I'm not bringing them up as high as the ones in the main entranceway. I'm just going up about there, putting in the borders for the fences and all that kind of good stuff. But just something. That way there's bathrooms. I thought about maybe putting like a bathroom sign on each of these, but I couldn't really find a place to put it that I liked. So I decided to just leave it. People will figure it out on their own. The little bathroom sign is completely optional. And I thought about something I could do to maybe decorate the tower a little bit. Ultimately decided on using this little lamp that we had over on our kind of example building. And I think it works. You know, it just gives us a little bit of light, a little bit of something on those buildings to kind of make them look a little bit better. And then I need to get benches and trash cans and stuff like that spread fairly evenly throughout the park. Also need more rides. We do not have nearly enough rides right now. So I'm going to put in a Ferris wheel over here. We want people to come down to this end of the park because this is where our big roller coaster is. So we also want other rides down here as well, instead of just the roller coaster. We're just going to kind of put that in here. Again, just a matter of detailing out the borders and putting in the fences and all that kind of good stuff. Nothing fancy. And again, I'm not really going to do anything to decorate this with a building right now, but we might do something later. So then I was like, okay, well, we need drinks or something like that down here. We need a way for people to get food. Because if they don't have that, it's going to be pretty bad because they're going to be hungry and thirsty and they're going to have to go all the way back to the entranceway to actually get food and drink. But then I was like, wait a minute, we don't really have a good spot to do this right now where the haulers would actually be able to bring the stuff they need to those buildings. So I'm putting in another ride over here. We're going to use this sort of ship ride, which I believe is another fairly exciting ride for people. I think this is generally a pretty good one as far as the flat rides go. Putting in the queue and the line and then just kind of detailing out the front of it and decorating it with a couple of flower boxes. Nothing fancy at all. As far as the colors go, I wanted to make the rides for... I wanted to make basically all of the rides kind of a consistent color scheme throughout the park. Kind of these shades of brown and stuff like that to sort of match everything else. We might change that later. We haven't really picked an accent color yet. And that's something that we will do at some point because we don't want just shades of brown everywhere. We definitely want some color. And I just haven't really picked I just really haven't decided on one yet. But we do need some lights and lamps and things like that throughout the park as well. So I'm going to put some of those in, put in some more trash cans, put in some more benches. And you can kind of see we're starting to run quite a bit low on funding. And I actually already took out a loan as well. So not so good. Not so good. We're running out of money. And we haven't even opened the park up yet. So I'm putting in these final benches as kind of finishing touches. And then that's going to be about it before I just run out of money. All right, guys, we are back, and unfortunately, I am pretty much out of money, and that is after taking out a $12,000 loan as well. So, I think it is time to open the park, and we will probably want to charge some sort of admission fee. We'll just take a look and see what guests are saying. I did hire a couple of haulers so we can get this stuff all taken care of, hired security, you know, all that kind of good stuff. But hopefully guests will start doing guest things very soon, riding rides, and hopefully earning us a little bit of dough, because we're going to have some problems paying off our loans, not to mention getting more rides and things. This park is far from where I would like it to be. We have so much unused space over here and over here. There's a lot I want to still do with this park, but I just don't have the money for it right now. I'm out of cash. So hopefully guests will be fairly okay. We'll see what they say. Are they saying anything? Entrance fee is a good deal. Okay. Let's maybe bump that up to like $5. And we'll just see what people say about it. We charge them $5 entry fee. I don't think I want to go too much higher than that. Just because I want to charge them for rides and stuff as well. And I'd like to get people in. A couple of our missions for this. If we get 100 guests in the park, which we should do almost immediately, that should give us about $500. Which isn't much, admittedly, but it is something. And if we get 200 guests in the park, we unlock some extra space. Which I guess is kind of nice. I wish all these rides weren't so far away all the way over here, but even still, people will make their way down there eventually. They still, yeah, they still seem to be fine paying the entry fee. So I think we're okay. Let's go here. Nobody's got any complaints at the moment. That's good. I really need to get... I probably want to get some restaurants down here, but that's going to involve an employee path. Because we need a way to figure... We need to figure out a way for any shops along here. Actually, yeah, this would be a good place to put a couple of shops. Like right here. And then maybe we could build some sort of a building around it so we can get an employee path over here. And they can fill that stuff up. But right now, we can't afford it. Right now, we're broke. Basically, anyway. Let's kick up the speed a bit. Get as many people into the park as we can so they can start buying things and rides and blah, 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 blah. A lot of these rides are pretty basic, too. Not super decorated or anything like that. We're just kind of trying to make things work as best we can. I do think I remember to open all the rides, though, so that's good at least. All right, we have 100 guests in the park. That got us $500. It's not much, but it's a start. Oop, and I bumped my microphone. That's no good. Still got a bunch of guests flowing in. Yeah, they're still coming in. Just take a look here at our finances. Loan fees, yeah, that's a problem. Building maintenance. We're kind of operating at a loss right now, which isn't great. But, okay, we were almost in the green. It appears we're in the green right now. Man, we're just barely holding on, though. We're not making a whole lot of money every month. But I think as more and more guests come in and people start making their way down here to where the big rides are, because it's the stuff like this wooden coaster that's really going to be our big draw. we'll just kind of see where we're at. We're almost up to 200 guests. So we should unlock a bunch of extra space. There we go. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that kicked the fence all the way. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that opened up a ton of space all over here. Oh, I wish I'd known that was going to open up before I put in this wooden coaster, honestly. Because this would have been a much better place for it, much closer to the entrance. And the food. But I think it's okay. I think we have all the necessities covered. Let's just check and see what people are saying. Yeah, everyone seems to be pretty happy. They're all happy about the rides and all that kind of good stuff. Our haulers are still doing work over here. They're still working on getting all this stuff restocked, I think. Yeah, because they've stocked this one, right? Or maybe not. What are you guys doing, haulers? Hide the scenery. I don't know, there's a guy walking around. All right, okay. They're working on it. They just finished the burger, so all they have left is the soft drinks one. That's fine. Okay. So the haulers are doing their job. They're just not doing it incredibly quickly. And it looks like we are making money. We made about $600 last month, which isn't as much as I would like, but it's a decent amount. That's not bad. That'll slowly get us to where we need to be. Hopefully we can increase that a bit. But we need to pay off our loans to complete this scenario as well. And I think one of the best ways to increase the amount of money we're making is to get rid of some of these stupid loan fees. We can just kind of pay some of that off. And that'll help us, that'll help out a bit for reducing our for taking, helping increase our monthly income. Because right now we're just, last month we paid $246 just in loan fees. So we can reduce that a bit and work on paying off a bit more. We'll see where we're at. Only made $464 last month. Yeah, that's not as great. What are people saying? We can get something to eat around here. Not paying that much park entrance fee. Okay, well, we've only gotten one complaint about the entrance fee, but I will lower it a little bit. Just a teeny bit. Good with the scenery. One of our rides broke down. And of course, it's the one all the way on the other side of the park, so it'll take forever for our mechanic to get over there. I think what we probably want to do is pay off our loan. And once we've paid off our loan, we can get some, maybe some shops along here. Maybe nothing like super complicated. Even if it was just like one soft drink store and one burger joint or something. Just so there's some sort of food and drink over on this end of the park. I think that might be worth our time. Now, it looks like we still have people coming in, but we have people leaving as well. So it looks like our capacity right now, with the rides and things like that we currently have, is about 250 guests. It's not horrendous, but it's not great either. It's not really, we need to be making more, essentially, if we're going to be doing our thing. What is our mechanic doing right now? Okay, he is working on repairing the ship. He's just taking a while to get there. And as far as rain protection goes, we don't have much. Pretty limited on the rain protection at the moment. We might change that. Maybe we could do like oh, that could be kind of interesting. I mean, I already put a food court over here, though. I was thinking maybe we could put like a food court in this central area. I was gonna do the paddle boats, but I couldn't figure out how to place them. It was a little funky. So I don't know. Maybe we'll try something later, or maybe I'll look it up outside of the game and see if I can figure out what the deal is with those. But you know, I thought we would actually be able to finish this park in this episode, but I guess not. We don't have the funds to do it. So guys, I think I'm gonna call this one right here, and we'll hopefully finish this up next time. My friends, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check that out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.